Greetings and salutations. I hate tech. Don't you just hate tech? I hate technology. Hi, gang. Um, no Neil. Don't know where he is. Mystery. The whole thing's a mystery. Hope you're well. I'm Russ Kane. This is The Daily Show, exclusive to Men's Radio Station. Today's T-shirt. It's a kind of 1950s, early 60s kind of drum design. That's the sort of thing it is. No idea where Neil is. Not a clue. Right, let's crack on. Ladies and gentlemen, I discovered something today. And it's been bugging me, right? It's been bugging me. And I didn't know why. And it only started to bug me when, during lockdown. It's never really bugged me before. The stringy bits on bananas. Stringy bits on bananas. They never bothered me in the least. Let's see if this helps with the noise. Yeah, it does. Never bothered me. And now they're kind of annoying. Right, let's say hello to some people who are watching all over the world. It is Kimmy Lashmar. Hi, Kimmy. Hi, you. And Clockmaker to the Stars, Robert Van Buren. Hi, Robert. Anyway, welcome. Let's bring on our first guest, shall we? Because we've been having so many emails and communications. So let's finally... no idea where Neil is. He's so unprofessional. So unprofessional. Let's dash across quickly to Manhattan. To New York City. So good they named it New York City. And there she is, Elizabeth Green. Hi, Elizabeth. No, I'm not giving Neil anymore. He's just late. Alison. Hello. That's a jolly.
Hi, Neil.
Hi, how are you? How are you?
Good and lovely to meet you at last.
Well, finally. I've only had about 300 emails. So there we are. How are you doing today?
Amazing. I'm pleased to be here and thank you for having us.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. I love it when somebody says amazing because the British way is just going, yeah, not bad.
Oh, really?
No, not bad. Okay. I'm all right. You know, all things considering, which is a wonderful Bill Bailey sketch. How are you? Well, not bad, all things considered. Right, tell us about yourself and why you're here, etc.
Yes. So first and foremost, thank you for having us once again.
Oh, no,
a real pleasure to be on here. And again, so my name is Alison Chiwara. I am a co-founder of Flossverse.
That's how you pronounce it. I've been pronouncing it wrong for months now, ever since we started communicating. You're calling it Flowverse. I don't know why.
I know. So I always have to pronounce the S very well. So it is Flossverse. CIC. So we are a social enterprise and an edtech startup. Can
I interrupt you because somebody who used to work with us is here?
I am so sorry.
Do you have a watch? An interesting way to nonetheless handle your resignation. I think you'll find
it. So I do beg your pardon, and thank you very much indeed for letting me in.
A pleasure.
Good afternoon.
I think we'll be having a little conversation after the show, Neil, if you'll come into my office. Alison, please continue. This is Neil Long. This is the late Neil Long. Alison, please continue.
How are you?
Late.
No, we don't care. Alison, we don't care. He's here. We don't care how he is. He's just turned up.
Fantastic.
All right.
Well, so Flossverse really is a brainchild of Florence Arlo, who is obviously the founder. Whose vision was really to empower as many women as possible across the globe. She herself comes from a blockchain technology background, which she's been in since 2016. And of course, with all of these shortages in tech skills, in digital skill shortages, there's really a disparity for people to do something, right? Over the pandemic, we realized that a lot of our life has been taken over by technology. And so, you know, it goes without saying that that industry is so stretched beyond stretch. And we wanted to create gender parity. So what do we mean by gender parity? Is we want to see more women come into the tech sector so that all of the decisions that concern our lives, i.e., if our lives are surrounded or evolving around technology, we want a balanced play table. We want a balanced decision-making innovation tables that actually mirror the entirety of the universe, if you like, because of course, our stretch is not just here in the UK. So yes, so the EdTech was really born so that we can educate, train, elevate, and empower as many women as possible across the globe. We are not by any means or any feat, thinking that, we can all of a sudden just wipe away the problem. It is a long-term project. It is a long-term problem. And what we're hoping is to be the bridge between the women that are needed in the tech sector and the tech sector that needs women to come into it. Never mind women, just really the tech sector is desperate for workforce.
And is it very imbalanced at the moment, male, female?
Absolutely, I say so. So so just to give you a quick idea, so 26% of the workforce that are in tech are women. So only 26%. That's quite worrying. When studies were done, and recent surveys say that only 3% of young girls in school would ever actually consider a career in tech. So 3% is too small. We need to encourage that number to go to go up. 26% of women sitting in the tech sector is far too little. It's just like anything, that balance, because tech really is challenging our lives. It is determining where our lives are molding towards. And it goes without saying, like I said earlier. And one of the things that I'm really, really, as an organization, we are really passionate about is that, if in, say, politics, you have to have a balanced table, we also must have balanced tables across every area that concerns our lives.
Right, so Alison, here's a question coming in from one of our viewers, Kimmy Lashmar. Do you think men have better tech brains? Just wondering.
That one is a tricky one. So if I think I'm going to be politically incorrect on this one.
We don't have political correctness on men's radio station. You say what the hell you like, Alison. Off you go.
So my general thoughts are, I believe that, men have got a pragmatic way of dealing with problems. So they're very straight to the point. And so maybe slightly quicker at problem solving, I would say. However, when it comes to women, we are we explore all options around us. And I think that is why diversity in the tech sector is so important. So where a man might just think, okay, from A to Z, it's straightforward, a woman might actually scatter around a little bit. I'm now talking a little bit about neuroscience and look at other avenues. So while the shortest way is to get to A to Z is clearly there,
yeah,
you may be missing some elements that make that journey so much more better, so that the output is vast and actually covers many other areas.
That's really interesting. I think the gender differences blend really well. I mean, there's a real generalization, and please tell me if you think I'm wrong, Alison. Like you say, men very linear, very direct, and as a general direction, women much more whole picture, more holistic, big picture thinking. And a blend of both is a wonderful thing, I think.
Absolutely. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry,
I want to ask you this. It's something that we've talked about a lot on men's radio because it affects everybody. When I was growing up, everybody had a job. You had apprentices. There were loads and loads of factories in London, for example, and you could leave school and not be very academic, but you could be an apprentice and do something really practical with your hands. Yes. It didn't matter what it was. And those apprentice schemes were fantastic, to get you into industry. When are we going to face the fact that the notion of people actually having jobs is almost finished? Because corporates don't want people, they want machines, and they want people to run the machines. There is very fewer and fewer requirements for human activity. And until there is a complete reset of the mindset, we're going to be struggling with this. Because I honestly believe, and this is what my question to you, I believe we're working on something based on the 1950s, and it's finished.
So for me, that's really, really interesting. While we all think that the world that we live in, or corporates no longer require humans, here's the thing. So my background is actually also corporate mental health. And I'll tell you something for certain, is that in order for robots and everything else to work, we still need human workforce. Absolutely. robots or technology, what it does, it enhances our lives. It makes things better. I don't
Or
believe for
should
a
do.
moment in
Well,
time.
does it make it better?
I believe so. So I posted something
See,
earlier.
I don't agree with you, Alison. I'll be honest with
Okay,
you. I think
so
what it does is it gets rid of the cost of having a workforce. It gets rid of the cost of somebody having to go to the toilet, take a lunch break, not feel well, go on holiday. Robots work 24/7.
okay, so here's the thing. I posted something earlier on my LinkedIn, which is a recent operation that has been done on Siamese twins. And again, the technology that was used there was VR headsets technology. Now, technology used very
Right.
well can be technology for good. Now, we say technology takes away all of the human workforce that's required. I somewhat would like to disagree with you on that one, Russ, just because in order for us to come out with innovations, we still need humans at the back of this. We saw this across the pandemic. And I will mention this out here. So, my partner started a business that was to bring robots to clean hospitals and so on. But let
Mm.
me tell you something that is very stagnant, it will never change, is that the world requires human-centered approaches. The world requires that human touch. It will never fade. There's no way that robots can or technology can completely take over and just not have humans. And yes, it's, I it's a question of debate, absolutely. But I also believe that one of the reasons why technology people continue to create, innovations that almost elevates or the need for humans, I also think is because we never have enough workforce. And so for us, it's creating that enough workforce so that the industry always requires humans. And the world is
Well,
revolving, and we
let
do.
let's let
You've
let
kind of
let
flipped it on its head in a good way. I think I can see both points of view. I think what Russ means is just cuts, and everything being taken over, and humans,
no.
services no longer needed. But that's not what you're saying,
I
is it?
tell you exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
And let's be clear. In manufacturing, no, any corporation, doesn't matter if they're making widgets, it doesn't matter what they're making. The only reason they are there is the bottom line. We are a CIC company. You're CIC. We're not for profit. All right.
Yes,
So
yes.
we're here on a mission. You're there on a mission. That's different.
Mm,
But any corporation is there to make a profit. The only
true.
thing they care about is their bottom line. And most of them are slaves, as Neil will know, because we worked for a company for many years. And when it became a public company, the whole culture changed because they became slaves to the shareholders. And if the shareholders are happy, everybody gets their bonuses. If the shareholders aren't happy, it's not a happy day at the ranch. Now, the point about what I'm saying is once you've set up the technology, you don't need the people. You need the people to design the tech, obviously.
Yeah. Mhm.
And you need much, much fewer people to run the tech. Of course you do. So if you think of, let's take car manufacturing.
Mm,
Let's take
mm,
car manufacturing. If you think of the old black and white films of hundreds and hundreds,
yes.
thousands of people going in the factory gates and
Mhm.
coming out at 5 o'clock, it's all gone. You look at Volkswagen, the biggest car manufacturer. You look at the biggest plants they've got. There's hardly any people there. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm
Mm,
not
mm.
saying it's a good thing. I'm just saying it's the reality. It's the
Yes,
reality of where we are.
I absolutely understand, but I also think that where applicable, I think technology has truly enhanced our lives in the medical sector, in training. So I'll give you a good example. Uh, and I absolutely agree. I understand where you're coming from, and I
Mm.
agree to a point. But I think that humans are still required in many other industries. And in so many other workflows that cannot be automated. So there's so many other workflows that cannot be automated. So while we're talking about our lives revolving a little bit around technology, I also believe that while we are in that era, we need to make sure that that process is seamless. We also need to make sure that that process of actually evolving into technocratic sort of environment is actually efficient all around. And that efficiency, of course, may mean, as you say, some job cuts here and there. But I truly, truly believe that there's so many other industries across the breadth of hundreds of sectors that will always need human workforce. And I just think that there may be a shift in certain areas where, okay, we're not going to need as many humans, but I think that those jobs ultimately make space for other industries to grow in terms of needing human workforce. So it's kind of like a domino effect, if you like. So you take away, so I think,
I see where you're going with. I see where you're going with this, and I totally comprehend what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I think the notion that everyone is entitled to a job, which is what we've always grown up to believe, has gone out the window. We've got some great comments, which I'm going to bat over to you, Alison, because now let me just get a little bit of background. This is a pal of Neil's, Robert Van Buren. He's a clock maker.
All right.
He makes clocks.
Yes,
which is a very neat.
Title.
I'm sorry. What did you say?
Horologist, to give him his posh title.
All the skilled jobs are dying away, especially in my trade, says Robert. Interesting. Here's a very good question from Kimmy. This is a great question. Would more women in tech be able to stop beautifying and pressurizing girls to be falsely beautifying themselves, which is becoming tragic?
That's really, really a key area that I'm very passionate about. I just think that this is where I talk about tech being used for good. I think there's so much good that can even come even out of a dark space sometimes, or even out of a place of compromise. And I really, really feel that if tech is for good, we have to, I think my daughter was showing me, I think it was an ad, I can't remember which company it was, but it was a cosmetic company, like a lotion and soap company, that did an experimental learning, which was, taking different girls, different, sort of looks, different backgrounds, and then actually having other people talking about them sort of out of earshot, but then actually having them see those comments that they are saying and how it actually affects people. I am, when it comes to, technology being used in a way that compromises or really doesn't enhance people's lives, then for me, to an extent, I really don't believe in that. Technology, if used well, should enhance people's mental health, should enhance people's well-being, should create positive impact. So, i.e., efficiency. I don't believe for a moment that, anybody should be in a sport where, people have to question who they are. People have to question whether they're beautiful, whether they're in the right setup. It's, I think
I'm not following that. I'm not quite following that. Go rewind that last bit. I was with you all the way until the last bit.
Yes. So I was saying that technology should create an inclusiveness of some sort, which is some sort of level of acceptance throughout. Now, like you said earlier, everyone is entitled to their opinion, but I truly believe that there is space, especially in this new era, where people can actually, advertise or promote their businesses with a certain quality of human focus that is not detrimental to the being that is human.
Nodding, going, yes, that's interesting. I'm still not following it. I'll be honest with you.
I agree with you entirely, and I think it's a really high ideal, but I think it's one that, shall we say, less enlightened people would not really care about, because a lot of the social media just wants eyeballs on screens and create algorithms just to dominate your attention as much as possible, and that is not conducive to mental health. But I love what you're saying. I mean, it's a fantastic vision, and I completely agree with you. We've got this
Neil,
incredible...
you've frozen. Neil, we can hear you perfectly, but you're frozen for some reason. I don't know if
I'm just keeping very still. We've got this incredible leading edge, and I can throw my voice. We've got this, and not move my lips. We've got this incredible leading edge technology, and were it used for something more visionary, like you're talking about, Alison, amazing. I mean, technology to detect tsunamis, for example. Technology like you say, to make things more efficient, but still keeping the humans in to program that technology. So you're right. It does need a human factor. This is all falling into place for me very nicely.
And can I just add as well? I do have, I was just going to say, Russ, I do have my daughter. And sometimes you do worry about, so one of the things, my big bugbear is, of course, these filters that children do get on their phones. And so that, to an extent, I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done around that area so that it reflects people's true, I've seen people that look completely different to who they truly are.
You think, Alison?
Oh, you've been on Tinder.
And trying to
I know
fit
when
in
Neil turned up, I was very disappointed. I was expecting George Clooney, but we're still together and we're quite happy.
It's working.
Alison, here's the thing about
Yes.
technology. Let me rewind myself here. I think what you're doing to get more women into tech is fantastic. All right. I have zero argument. I think it's a brilliant plan. All right. And tech is the future. There's no point in pretending it's not. We're not an agricultural nation.
No.
Those days are gone. We're not an industrial nation. You got to think, what the hell are we actually, what are we doing? Well, it's basically tech. It's tech and service industries. That's what we are. Essentially, that is what we are, and a tourist, tourism and stuff like that. Okay. So I'm totally supportive of what you're saying. Totally. Especially, and we've touched on some of the stuff, and I'll pull up Paul Claridge's message in a minute. And what Kimmy was saying is that we've got all this fabulous tech, which is created by very clever people. And what's the ultimate thing? TikTok, some moron dancing around in a thong.
Yes.
And that's the height of Western civilization. Jesus.
You found my video then?
I did. And frankly, purple is not your color, Neil. I'm going to be honest. Although you're a fine-looking man.
Thanks.
For your age. Now, do you see what I'm saying, Alison? It was just, I just want, we all bow to the god of tech, and yet you think, oh, what is it? Oh, it's apps. To do what? To play stupid games, to dance around in your kitchen. It's so depressing because we've built generations of idiots.
True. So our focus really as an entity is we wanted to focus. So we are focused on futuristic digital skills. Some of those include 3D modeling, so which are actually useful. We want cars, we want houses,
we want everything. 3D modeling is magnificent. It's fantastic.
Yes, so we,
and especially for medicine, Alison, especially for medicine,
absolutely.
what they can build.
Absolutely. So we focus on 3D modeling, 3D design. There's two particular areas that we wanted to pick. So we picked on it. So the two areas that we focus on are digital fashion and automotive designing. So why those two? Because, we want to lure women in. So we're going to go for the obvious, right? Because our way of pulling them in, we have to speak the correct language to them, because that's really important in order to get them to have a buy-in.
Do you know what, Alison? I'm gonna act as devil's advocate. Let me pin my colours to the mast. Modern phrase there. I totally see what you're doing, and I totally agree. If this was the BBC and you were on a panel, oh my God, they would eviscerate you for that, for daring. Well, you know why? No, I agree with you. I think what you're doing is absolutely right because it's logical and it makes perfect sense. It's the real world. But in the woke world of, say, the BBC or some of the other stations, if you were on TV doing this, the panel would be ripping you to bits because they would say, how dare you stereotype women and say they can only do fashion and nice things? If you're going to do that, why don't you get some technology in the kitchen while you're at it and make a better iron? You see what I'm saying? I think what you're doing is correct, though.
So I love that you've actually just said that, which brings me to the next bit, which is we actually also introduce automotive designing, which is designing of cars. Again, we are trying to change the narrative. So I guess I understand what you're saying politically might be incorrect. But what I'm trying to say is that looking at the stereotype that is used in day to day, it works for other people, it doesn't work for everybody. But actually bringing in really fascinating elements that really changed the narrative. So we're going to be modeling cars, designing cars. We're going to also be doing fashion, because it's really, really important to keep a nice balance for the two, I believe. So do
And
something
I
that
think
you
it's
enjoy.
good that you. I like the way you use the phrase "lure them in," which is great. My producer Ken, his one of his friends is a fully qualified IT teacher.
Mhm.
Okay,
Yes.
and they get a very low uptake on those courses. So much
Yes.
so, she's now had to. I don't know if she's retrained or she was trained in it before. I don't know that bit, but teach business studies instead. Now, why is there such a low uptake? Is it because these old memes or stereotypes still exist? I mean, for God's sake, look at the football the other day, and you know, there's been memes for too long that women can only do this and men can only do that, and it's not accurate and it's not true and it's not scientific and it's not how the universe works, I believe.
Yeah.
And so I love conversations like this, which are breaking the mold and pushing things forward.
Yeah.
And I think the football was a great example of that the other day. So yeah, it's a long way of saying that I really agree with you. But why is there this low uptake? Are they just not interested, or have they been told they can't do it, or have they been discouraged? Oh no, you shouldn't focus on that. You know, you should be focused on women's things, typically, stereotypically.
Well, personally, my personal thoughts, or as an organization, what we believe in is that we don't really have enough female role models within the tech sector, which is a massive problem itself. So in most sectors, you find there's women advocating for other women to join in, because sometimes you learn through observation, looking at other women doing incredibly well and actually thinking, well, she's into engineering. If she can, I can do it. I'm certainly. So this is why for us, so we focus on young girls aged 13 to 17 in schools. Why that age? Because that's when they're starting to pick up their, some subjects for high school and starting to think about their career. So of course, there'll be twice across the depth of, during the time of their schooling life in high school, when they can decide, okay, I really did arts. Maybe I can actually take on sciences next year. But then, so we want to start fueling that passion for tech very, very early on. We decided we were going to do things slightly different. So all of our classes, or rather our training, are mainly done within VR spaces. So that kind of makes us a little bit futuristic. Why are we on VR spaces? Well, if the young girls are already accustomed to these spaces, we want to go where they are and actually work with them. So we're bringing fun into learning. And actually,
I agree. Education should be fun, and I can see the VR on your website, and I love VR, and I think the possibilities of it.
She was a great queen.
Pardon?
She was a great queen. I see VR on post boxes.
Ah, very good. I see what you did.
Thank you very much.
But the possibilities, I love the way you're drawing them in early with that. I personally think, well, this is a great idea, and the possibilities in other areas too. We could do a whole show on it, on the possibilities in healing and things like that, and changing mindsets. So VR is incredibly powerful and a great tool.
Right. I'd like to. You're right, by the way. And if you haven't tried the Facebook, what's it called? Oculus. Jesus Christ, freak me out.
Yes,
it freaked me out.
I have had many a fun time on the Oculus. You want to ride the roller coasters on there? It's brilliant.
No, thank you. It freaked me out. You can't believe how realistic. But we'll have that conversation.
It really is.
I'd like to go through some of these fantastic points coming up from our viewers and listeners. Let's start. So, Neil, I'm sorry if it kind of blocks your very handsome face, but I bagged that.
Kimmy Lashmar says, what sort of routes, say for uni courses, should women be directed to? Yeah.
So interesting.
Put another way, if they've never heard of it, how would they find it?
Okay. So basically, within, I think tech or STEM subjects or STEM related courses are being held across many universities, many colleges, even schools, I believe, now have funding for this. And it's actually worth actually finding out what it is that you're interested in, because across every industry now, they are using tech. So there's so many transferable skills that we will probably already have. So for instance, I was working sort of IT and telecoms for many, many years, but then not in the practical way. I was doing marketing and sales. Then I moved into corporate mental health. But some of my corporate mental health skills, I'm actually using them in this ed startup. So it's actually about finding what it is that you're most passionate about. Is it medicine? Is it fashion, for example? Is it automotive? And then actually going into universities and actually finding out what sort of courses they offer around your areas of interest. Because, I mean, one of the things as well, which is quite, I would say, is our unique selling point. One of the barriers to women going into tech was a requirement. You have to be a coder. You have to do coding. I don't know how to code. I'm not really, to be fair, keen on coding. It's quite complex, and that's the truth. So we have come up with solutions that take away that barrier to entry, which is always you need coding. Well, you don't, because there's so many softwares now that are being used across different breadths of different industries that the coding is already embedded within that software. So it makes entry to the sector that was probably one that you needed to be, of a certain creative thinking, sort of a grouping to be able to go into tech. That is no longer the case. And I think that
these are great answers, because we're removing the I can't because argument, if you like. Yeah.
And whatever you decide to do, you can always expand and transfer it into the tech sector. Believe me, and there's routes already within most companies that can take your skills and translate them into IT.
And if you do something that you love, you'll never work a day again in your life.
Absolutely.
It's so
you're clearly so passionate about this. I just have to ask, then I'll shut up for a bit. Did you just wake up one morning and think, wow, this is a great idea? I mean, how did this amazing idea come to you? What's the story?
So it's a journey. So initially, the dream wasn't really mine.
We don't allow the word journey on the show, because we're not Simon Cowell, and I don't want to hear. And I decided to give it 110%, and I'm doing it for my grandma. I don't want to hear any of that. Right.
So
you're going to start again without the word journey.
I am going to start again without the word journey.
Yeah. Process, is that all right?
That's fine. So it all began with Florence, who, as I say, during the course of the lockdown or the pandemic, there wasn't really so much for women to do. And for her, it was like everybody's baking, everybody, there was a whole, craze around baking, around, dance classes online, having a drink online. And she wanted to bring some sort of element of doing something that will impact people. Because her background is blockchain technology, she started teaching women on NFTs, how to open a wallet, and actually do something that you can actually generate income from or through. And during that process, those 18 months of the lockdown, she trained about just over 500 women herself.
Wow.
Bringing them into seminars online. Incredible. And Florence has been a friend of mine for many, many years. So I said to her, Florence, I think we can translate this to young girls. I'm very, very passionate about women empowerment. I've worked with a number of charities, really pushing for change where change can happen, pushing for equality, diversity, and inclusion where it's needed, and it's needed everywhere. So I because of my background also, having worked in IT and technology, I've looked at it and I thought, there isn't many women that sit at the decision-making tables. You're either an admin, someone in the office, back office. You're not really involved. I've not seen many women that are engineers. I've not seen many women that are actually, at the forefront of innovations. So I wanted
except on the adverts where you've always got a woman wearing a hard hat talking to camera. But it's
but
not
in
the
real
truth.
life, that's
it's not
happening.
The truth, is it? It's just
nonsense. So there was a need there to, okay, what do we do? There is actually a problem in the sector. We really need more, and it's a men's world, isn't it, if we look at it? So we need to change that narrative. In order to change that narrative, and I'm also of the thought that you cannot continue to complain about something if you have no solution. And so I wanted to come with, we wanted to come to the table with a solution. We know the problems. Here is our take on it. And our take on it is we grow the pipeline. bottom-up approach. And that began with, okay, things are evolving so quickly. Our children maybe know more of technology than we actually do. And that's the case in my home, where my children know more. If I'm stuck, I actually call them and they know, and they've just self-taught themselves. So what better way to go to the schools, 13 to 17-year-olds? Okay, a mother loves what she's seeing her children doing. Guess what, mommy? You too can partake in the course. And the courses are so simple. We normally just start with fundamentals of all of the subjects that I spoke about earlier. Easy, gentle entry into something that could be extraordinary. And we work closely with schools and corporate organizations that are willing to take them on and actually nurture the talent or the passion, because you may have passion but not necessarily talent, or vice versa. And so we are open, and we are very open-minded to, with the little that you have, we can grow it. You're a seed, and
I love it, Alison. You are a fantastic advocate for this. I'm going to whack on with some. Loving it. So's the audience. I can see from the numbers. Right. Let's deal with some of the things. Sorry, Neil. You'll be back in a sec. Paul Claridge, who I don't know where he is at the moment. I tend to agree with Russ on this one. This was about tech and people and humans being needed or not. And hey, humans are only still required in industries. Now, the reason I read this out, Alison, in case you think why are you doing that, is because this show is also streamed on Deluxe Radio, and about 70,000 people just on that radio station, but it's radio only. So they're not seeing any of this. But the rest of us are seeing
no pressure.
Yes.
No pressure. Just relax. I tend to agree with Russ on this one. And hey, humans are only still required in industries which cannot yet be automated. I'm with you, Paul. With the way technology evolves, even those jobs will be automated eventually. 20 years ago, self-driving cars were science fiction. Yep, it was all Buck Rogers. Now they are a reality. Yeah, we have driverless trains. One day airliners will be pilotless, probably.
Well, I don't like the idea of a driverless anything, but I think, as Alison said earlier on, you still need trained humans to program these things.
You need them to program it. Look, the only reason the train drivers are up in arms because this is their last hurrah. DLR is driverless. They know that the tube could run automatically. They know all this. That's the only reason why they're fighting so hard. All of it could be automated. I'm not saying it's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's just life. This is very good from Alex. Alex, hi. I haven't spoken to you in ages. Promoting STEM in schools for young women is very important. What is STEM? What is that, Alison? I've no idea.
What's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
How does Alex know this? How does she know this? She's far too clever. She's too clever. This one from Neil's chum, Liz Saul, who we love. We like. Neil might love. I like her. Hello, all. Gender shouldn't be a barrier to any job. Amen to that, sister. Regardless of attitudes, it's allowed. Other person's prejudice are not your problem. They're not your problem until you're trying to get the job, Liz. Then they become your problem. And this is from, can you read this one out, Neil? Can you see it?
Yeah, Liz is right in principle there. I see where she's going. Kerry Stoneman, I was a barber for 30 years and only self-taught myself how to use a computer when I had my son. I never thought I'd be much good with tech, but now I work designing headstones and engraving plaques.
Wowza.
I've surprised myself. I think it helps that I learn things quick and never give up on things until I've worked it out. Well, they are two great attributes to have.
Love that, Kerry.
Oh, wow. That is amazing. I think this is what can happen. And I love stories like this, where you take a little bit of what you've learned in tech and actually develop something that you actually love. And again, you can see it's not necessarily a techie, it's not a job in tech, but you're using technology to enhance the job that you really love. I absolutely love these. And I would like to see more of these stories across the breadth of the world, more women in third world countries talking about how they're using a little touch of technology to enhance their work. And that is what this is all about.
Right. We got some fabulous people are loving this. People, you never know which way the ball's going to bounce, but well done you, Alison.
Thank you.
This is from Leader. I'm sorry about this, Neil. This is embarrassing, but there you go.
It's all right. I'm not offended.
We all remember your handsome face. Lee Durnford, who's a delightful guy. I've had the pleasure of meeting. He's a very nice man. The company I work for, Mott MacDonald, by the way, there's about 16,000 employees. It's gigantic. If I say to you Channel Tunnel, that's the sort of scale we're talking about. Mott MacDonald embraces EDI, and some of our leaders are women. There you go, Alison.
I love that.
Engineering and construction has always been more male orientated, but that's because it's not such a feminine job. Same as HR, these roles are typically run by females. Now, this is someone in the thick of it who's working for
Yeah.
a gigantic engineering industrial company, so he knows from where, so he's not speaking theoretically, he's speaking
Yeah.
from the work that, yeah.
I love that again. And again, I agree. There are certain stereotypically, there's been certain jobs that have been better suited. And I think also we have to recognize that sometimes it's also our thought processes, how we as women think, how you as men think and process certain things. So there are certain jobs that would naturally come easier to say women, and some jobs that naturally come easier to men. But I think that what we are trying to do is to create a gender neutral environment, more or less, so that when a decision is being made about, say, a car, I can say, oh, actually, if I sit on this, I'm a little heavy on the bottom. So, it would maybe be better if you shape the seat of a car like this. And I think that is the sort of that is the sort of inclusion and diversity of thoughts that I would like to see, or rather philosophers would like to see in the near future. And it can be done. We just need to be more accommodating. And yes, HR has been more aligned to women, but then I also see a lot of men challenging that narrative. I see a lot of men coming into HR and doing fantastic. So I think it's a matter of corporates or organizations being open to possibilities and actually basing it on meritocracy. Because not for once am I saying that if a woman knocks at the door, give them the job, give them the opportunity. But what we're saying is that if they're qualified, if they're skilled enough to be, because I know a lot of companies really, really thrive on upscaling people that are sort of clued to be or seen to be good potential for a particular position. We want to see more of that in the tech sector also, where a woman might be working.
Alison, let me say this. I'm sorry to cut you off in mid-flow.
Yes.
You're absolutely right, because if you don't work to a meritocracy, you are doomed to failure. And you look at some of the people who just put people there because they tick boxes. Do they have the talent? No. Do they have the skill? No. Are they the right person for that job? No. Are they actually going to help that company? No. But it looks great to the outside world. That's why you have these, what I call these roadblocks. A meritocracy should be the only way that people get ahead, regardless of anything. Are you the best person for that role? That is all that matters. Nothing else matters in that case.
I totally agree.
Do you agree with that? Because I can't.
I absolutely agree.
I do. What sort of response are you getting from the corporates? Because I've got a bit of a image of them as sort of impenetrable fortresses of old beliefs.
So yeah, I love that. I do love that.
The impenetrable fortress.
It can be, and when I love that word fortress. They can be. I think that it's really, really difficult. So, of course, our challenges as female founders, and I'm taking it back to the EDI stuff, is really in the tech sector what we're trying to push in. There's many challenges. So for starters, you don't really speak the tech language to start off with. So when you're going in and trying to leverage something, first of all, it's like, wait a minute, what is it that you want to do? For us, it's a very, very simple set of mathematicians. We train, you help us leverage them and mold them into the person that you would like to have in your company. Now, we have been very, very fortunate. We've got a few companies within the Web3 space that have actually volunteered to take on some of our girls and women once they've gone past our initial training, and they will train them further. But again, these tend to be more so female businesses as well, which is very odd, but I'll put it out there. And really, as an organization, we are advocating for more corporate organizations to come forward, work with us, because we don't have all the answers, you see. And those tech companies, they're already equipped with more resources than we do have. And we believe in collaboration. It is our currency. at Florence.
You know what you've just said. We know what you've just underlined.
Mhm.
You've underlined one of the great myths of the 21st century and the
Mm.
20th century: the sisterhood. What
Yes.
a pile of crap! Never existed.
Hmm.
Never existed. And it's
Hmm.
been my experience, and all my female friends have said the same thing. And this,
Yes.
you might think this is controversial, but you've just kind of proved my point.
Yeah.
In business, I'm talking about business. I'm not talking about private life, social life, or anything
Yes.
else. In business, women are worse to other women who see them as a threat. Guys actually don't operate on that level. And I know some people are going, yes, that's right. And other people are screaming, Russ, you're a moron. But I can assure you that women to other women, from all my female friends, they all
Hmm.
go, geez, talk about backstabbing.
So that's
If
interesting.
they've got there,
Yeah.
I think it works like this, Alison. If they've got there, they don't want another woman snapping at their heels.
You couldn't be more
Guys
right.
kind of don't really work like that. They don't. It's a different mindset. But maybe because they've had to work so hard, before everyone starts screaming at me, because they've had to work so damn hard to get there in the first place. I get that.
You can be more right, Russ, actually. So I think I did mention Web3 space. In the real life, it's completely in this other side of
Mm,
reality. You
mm.
are right. You're absolutely spot on. So I won't mention names. I
No,
recently,
no,
so
don't.
Web3 space is sort of the metaverse futuristic space. Women there, I think the ethos of that community is really collaboration, sharing, etc. So that's different. However, in this side of the world where everything is realistic, I came across a woman who happened to have won an award from a particular company that we were trying to engage with. I reached out to them like I did to you, like on LinkedIn. And the initial thing was, oh, you're doing amazing. I love what you're all about. Then I said, well, I note that you won an award from this company. I love it. Well done. Is it possible for you to, give me a warm introduction to this firm, just to say who we are, since you now know what we do? I mean, I felt so disappointed because at one point I was really believing in that spirit of we can do, together we rise. And it just got lost to me because her response was very sharp and very, very dismissive. And she says, I don't really know you. So I'm not prepared. And at this point, I was just like, well, I'm not asking to go for tea or dinner.
Gee, wait, I'm not inviting myself around for a 3-week holiday in the
Yeah,
south of
just for dinner
France.
Absolutely.
and
I
a
just
movie.
need a sort of like
It's not
maybe
a
a tag.
date.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I met you as well on LinkedIn. You've been amazing.
Oh,
So in
thank
the
you.
scope of things, like you say, in the real world, absolutely, men are much more helpful. But then I've also had some amazing women as well that have come and given us, you know, insight into the industry that we're currently in. And we've actually been able to leverage ourselves just through, these warm introductions,
Yeah.
like what you're doing for us, like what many other people have done. But yeah, you're right. There's always a spirit, I think, of competition, which again needs to be removed. And that is why I'm an advocate for we create space that is collaborative. One of the things that we do within our courses, the girls or women within their cohorts, they get to do collaborative pieces as part of their graduation. Why? It's so important that when they leave us, they've learned much just more than what they came in to do. We want to work with women that empower other women that elevate other women, and women that want to see other women at the top where they are. I don't believe that you can be comfortable at the top if you're the only one with no helpers. And therefore, our motto is that together we rise. If
Yeah,
I rise,
it's collaboration. It's a collaborative abundance mindset, if you like, as opposed to a lacking competitive one. Russ, could you put
absolutely.
that comment from Liz back on the screen?
I will. I'm going to say, before I do that, I'm going to say one thing, because I think, Alison, I'm not sure we're not too different on this.
Yeah.
You know what my motivation in life is? One of the greatest bits of advice I ever got was from my mum, who
Oh,
died
wow.
some years ago. And she said, you know what? You want something, do it yourself. And mum was no genius, I can assure you, but she was smart in the ways of the world. If you want something doing, do it yourself.
Mm,
And like what you and Florence are doing, what Howard and I started out, what Neil does. You know, it's no good looking around. If you got a vision and everything, you got to go for it, and don't wait for other people. It's so important. Anyway, I'm going to put Lizzie's. It sounds simplistic, but people are not. Some people are very helpful, amazingly helpful and supportive,
Yeah.
and some you think you're an absolute shit. How could you do this to me? I'm sorry, but that's how it is. I tell it like it is. Right. This is Lizzie's comment. Neil, you've got the ball. You read it out.
Neil, says Liz, that's quite a simplified way of putting it. Putting what, Liz? Which bit? I did GCSE computer studies. Technology has then changed a lot since. However, the basics remain the same and are very helpful in my job as a multimedia journalist. I'm no scientist as such, but tech is in every job now. All agreed, Liz, but a simplified way of putting what? Which bit did you mean?
Oh, he's gone. You there? Calling Neil Long. Calling
Yeah, I'm here.
Neil. Oh, good. You disappeared. I wanted to put this one up very quickly. It's not entirely on the point, but it goes like this. This is from Paul Claridge. A lot of tech innovations come from warfare, as of course did was it emails. A lot of tech innovations come from warfare and text as well. Humans are very good at inventing more efficient ways to kill other humans. Yeah, that's right. Odd fact, the self-aware evil computer satellite system in the Terminator movies are called Skynet. The UK military satellite communication system is called Skynet. Yeah, of course it is. And Elon Musk's satellite system is called Starlink. Not Starling, Starlink. Okay, there we are. These things, yeah, that's true. That's true. You've made so many great points, Alison, by the way.
Thank
You
you.
have. I'm trying to think of which bit to unpick, and there's just so much. I love this, Alison.
Thank you so much.
My producer Ken is talking
How
about.
come you've got your producer Ken is fired because you were late? So he's a lousy producer. He's fired.
I was taking my friend to a pain clinic appointment. I can only
I
apologize.
don't care. It's interesting. Your private life, Neil. I think you'll find is none of my business.
But Ken talks a lot about, because I see you use VR. Could you put Ken's comment back on the screen for a second?
I would if I could find it.
your
Mr.
thoughts on
Producer,
this,
I don't know where it is.
Alison.
Oh, here we go. Here's Ken.
Virtual reality for the disabled and the elderly could help their mental health and their feelings of well-being and enable to do things which are not possible in the real world. Now, in a kind of a layperson sort of way, Ken has been amazing on doing this to the point a university wanted his data on it. I mean, that's how good the work was, but it's all very kind of unofficial and grassroots. Just wondered on your thoughts on that, seeing as we're talking about mental health, Alison.
I absolutely. So this is another thing that we try and do. So we are currently going into local councils, and there's one particular local council that wanted to do something for disabled people or people with learning difficulties. And in fact, there's studies that actually prove that VR, when used properly, can actually increase retention levels at school for learning. And VR with disabled people, there's so much to it. That feeling of immersing somebody so they can actually visit places that they wouldn't naturally or normally be able to do. And one of the things as well with immersive sort of technologies, and I have to point this out because it's actually probably one of the things that I love about VR, immersive technologies, the whole metaverse thing, is you can create an avatar to your own liking. It takes away the normal day-to-day challenges of I'm this, I'm that. All of a sudden, you can be who you see yourself as. You may be disabled in a wheelchair. You can actually walk as an avatar on these spaces. You can visit Paris. There are people sometimes that are disabled to the point that they're unable to travel. It's incredibly well. If used incredibly well, and I noted this in a letter that I wrote to a local authority, is that it actually can be used as a mental health therapy of some sort, but we have to create boundaries around it.
Alison, can I put a little bit of context around this? Because there's some people who've never tried virtual reality. My son, who now lives in Texas in a very senior position, doing all this stuff, by the way.
Yeah.
He got, I'm not going to say what he does, but I tried on the latest thing from Facebook, whatever it's called, Oculus or something. And I thought, Now, the last time I tried virtual reality, it was rubbish. It just looked like sort of bad Lego, and I thought this is not.
It was like this. It was like a headset where you'd have your phone screen in front of you.
It was just rubbish.
Yes.
But it was the best that they could do. This was incredible, and it was so life-changing. And what I can't tell you how much I agree with Alison on this, because what was weird, I was in his flat when he lived in England. And what seemed unreal when I took the set off was his flat. What seemed real was the world that I'd been inhabiting.
I love that. Yeah.
It was so real. I mean, now, I think it's beyond belief. And I honestly believe that in the future, which is frightening, in the future, because I think this is frightening, Alison, but I think it's true, that as people get more and more disenfranchised, don't go out that much, can't spend that much, etc., they will inhabit the digital virtual reality world more than the real world. Because so that's really I think it will be, I honestly believe they will find it. Now, I'm not saying it's good, I'm not saying it's bad. I think that's where we're going. Not now, but in the future, not that far away.
There's a thing on the Oculus find it more enjoyable. Where they show on the Oculus, it's the actual NASA footage of the first time man landed on the moon, and you look back and there's a commentary on it, and you look back at planet Earth, this beautiful floating blue orb, and I've seen fully grown men come out of that in tears. It's so powerful. And there's a very famous experiment, I'll do this very briefly because we're running out of time, where they got a bunch of octogenarians and recreated, Alison, what life was like for them in their youth. So they had the newsreels, like the Pathé newsreels of the day. I'll show them that in a minute. The Pathé newsreels of the day, the music of the day, mocked up newspapers of the day. And do you know their aging markers changed to younger? Their mental health improved. Their pain levels went down. Their skin galvanic response. I cannot tell you how dramatic the change was. And none of it was real. I mean, it poses the question, what's really real, doesn't it? I'll show you this picture.
Is exactly
this is what Ken did in the old
This is the biggest point.
Wow.
Bless him.
That is extraordinary.
Bless Ken. Ken's an amazing
He is an amazing fella. Yeah, I mean, talk to Ken. If you ever want any help on this front, Alison, talk to Ken, because the man's amazing.
No, I've got first dibs on Ken.
Yeah, all right.
Alison, get in line, Alison. Just wait in line. Don't you try and push. Don't push ahead just because you're talented and clever. And
I'm just being the networker, that's all.
Yeah, I see where this is going. Neil's just said the most amazing thing. We haven't got time to discuss it. What is real and what isn't real? In other words, when you're in that VR, when you're in that VR world, unless you've tried it, believe me, you think, oh, Russ, you're just talking nonsense. What is it? Like a 3D film? No.
But isn't all therapy about changing thoughts and feelings and habits? And if this can do it so impactfully and powerfully, why aren't we?
And you know, that is the most interesting thing about immersive technology. I call it immersive therapy. So interestingly, now that we're near to the close of this, it was actually the one thing that made me want to do what I'm doing now. I put the Oculuses on, the VR headsets, and what I saw was a world that is blissful, a world that has got no tarnishes. And I wanted to be part of this amazing world. And I thought, if we can train more people to use VR headsets, it will change people's perceptions. We are so crowded with a lot of negativity. And sometimes it's actually nice to go into a clean canvas where you can create.
You know, I love that. And I'd love to see one of your VR presentations. Is that possible? I'd love to see some.
I don't have anything on this particular one, but I'll tell you, we can actually do a little, why don't we do a recording and you can actually come on our space. Yes. I'll invite you.
Make sure you've got biscuits and tea, because he's quite fussy.
I think my producer wants to ask a question. Is that all right, Russ? Very quickly.
Yes, go ahead. We've got a minute. Right, go on.
This is my producer, Ken.
Hello. My thoughts are, at the moment, the technology is quite uncomfortable.
Yes.
The headsets are bulky, but within 5 years, I think they're going to be more like glasses. So it will encompass VR and AR, and that will be the game changer. What do you think?
Absolutely believe so. I was at the London Tech Week, and I had the amazing opportunity to actually have the HoloLenses that bring augmented reality into play, which is bringing something out of real world into your virtual world. And so the impact is incredible. And I truly believe that it is a game changer. And that is why we're advocating for more people to actually learn a little bit about futuristic technologies. We are all going to need it. And as Russ said, we're not far from that world. And
on that note, we have to leave it. Alison, you've been an outstanding guest. Lovely to see you, Ken. Always good to see you, Neil. Alison, bless you. Bless you.
Alison, it's been great to meet you. Get in touch. I'll find you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, definitely. And you can visit us on our space.
Right, Alison, all the very best. I'm glad we hooked up eventually. I'll be back Friday, 12 o'clock with You Know Who. Until then, stay out of trouble.